Eli didn't expect the system to make such a mistake. When he opened the assignment file for his new roommate on Orbital Research Station 7C, he saw a name he didn't recognize. It wasn't from Earth. The letters twisted in strange patterns across the screen, glowing softly in blue. At first he thought it was a glitch, but the station's AI confirmed it. Welcome, researcher Sira of Kara. Arrival in 4.2 hours. He blinked at the screen. A Karen living in his room? He had seen Karens only in official broadcasts. Tall, graceful beings with long fingers, glowing eyes, and transparent skin that shimmered with their emotions. They breathed water, needed special habitat tanks to survive, and rarely spoke directly to humans. They were peaceful but distant. Cold, some said. Brilliant, others argued. Either way, not the kind of species anyone expected to share a tiny living space with. Eli paced the room for a while, staring at the walls. His room wasn't even that big. 2 beds, 1 desk, a shared washroom, and a small window that showed the black of space. That was all. How would a water-breathing alien even fit in here? Where would her tank go? What if she hated human smells? What if she found humans disgusting? He considered filing a complaint, but something stopped him. This was the first joint species research program approved by the Galactic Union. The Karens were observing humanity closely. If he made a fuss, it could damage trust. He didn't want to be the reason the program failed, so he cleaned up instead. He folded his clothes, wiped the counter, and even organized his books. Not that it would help much. What would an alien even think about human books? When the door chimed later that evening, he took a deep breath and opened it. A tall, slender figure stood there, covered in a thin, shimmering suit filled with flowing water. Her eyes were large and silver, her face soft and unreadable. Behind her floated a compact water habitat unit rolling on silent magnetic wheels. "I am Sira," she said in a calm, musical voice. "I was told this is my assigned living space." Eli nodded, trying not to stare. "Yeah, that's right." "I'm Eli, come in." She floated in slowly, the small tank gliding beside her. He noticed how careful her movements were, as if she were afraid to touch anything. Her eyes scanned the room, pausing on the window, the bed, and the small plant he kept on the shelf. "This is acceptable," she said, more to herself than to him. Eli nodded again. "If you need more water or a different air filter, I can call maintenance." "That will not be necessary," she replied. They stood there awkwardly for a moment. Then she guided her tank to the corner and stepped inside it. The suit peeled away as she entered, and the water around her glowed faintly blue. Eli turned around quickly, not sure if it was polite to look. For the next few days, they barely spoke. Sierra spent most of her time in her tank, watching holograms, writing reports in Karen code, or simply floating in silence. Eli tried to keep his routines quiet. He ate quietly, listened to music through his earpiece, and stayed out of her way. He didn't know what to say to her. She was polite but distant. She didn't ask questions, didn't smile, and barely reacted to anything he did. One evening, he accidentally dropped a cup of coffee. It spilled across the floor, steaming and dark. Sierra looked up from her screen. "Is that a nutrient spill?" It's just coffee, a drink." "Not harmful," Eli replied, grabbing a cloth. "Does it stain your skin?" He blinked. "No, it's hot, but not dangerous." She tilted her head. "Humans consume dark liquids for energy." Interesting. That was the first time she showed interest in anything he did. After that, little things changed. She began asking more questions, about Earth food, human sleep cycles, even why humans wore shoes indoors. In return, Eli asked her about Kara. She explained that her people lived underwater in deep, silent cities, where emotion was shared through color and light rather than sound. They communicated through shimmering patterns on their skin. Speaking aloud was considered primitive, but she said it gently, not as an insult. "You humans use sound to express everything," she said once. "It's so loud, so raw." "Yeah," Eli said, laughing. "We're kind of loud." Still, he noticed something strange. Sometimes Sierra would sit in her tank and stare at him when she thought he wasn't looking, not in a creepy way, but with deep curiosity, like she was studying him. Or maybe trying to understand something she couldn't put into words. He didn't mind. He had grown used to her quiet presence, her soft questions, her strange floating tank. The silence between them had become comfortable. One morning, the station's climate system malfunctioned. Eli had just finished his shower when he heard the alarm beep. Temperature imbalance detected. System reset required. Grumbling, he threw a towel around himself and walked out to the panel near the room's entrance. He thought Sierra was still in the lab, but she wasn't. She had come back quietly and was standing in the middle of the room, scanning her research logs. Her head turned the moment she heard him. Her silver eyes widened. For one long second, they just stared at each other. Eli stood there, towel barely covering him, dripping wet, eyes wide. Sierra's glow flickered, a soft, shifting color he hadn't seen before. Eli panicked. "Oh, sorry. I thought you weren't here. I didn't mean—" He turned and rushed back into the washroom, shutting the door with a loud thud. He stood there, breathing hard, heart racing. He felt his face burning. On the other side of the door there was silence. After a while she spoke. Her voice was quiet, not angry, not shocked, just thoughtful. "You are unarmored, yet you moved without fear." He opened the door slightly. "I was just trying to fix the system." "Humans show themselves easily," she said, eyes still on the place he had stood. "We wear suits to hide everything. You do not." He didn't know what to say. She looked at him, not with judgment, but with something closer to wonder. "It is a strange thing, but I think I understand now why they fear you." He frowned. "What do you mean?" She didn't answer. Instead, she returned to her tank and floated in silence. Eli dressed quickly, still unsure of what had just happened. But from that moment, something between them had changed, subtly but clearly. The space between them no longer felt like a wall. It felt like a door. And behind that door, something important was waiting to be discovered. Eli woke up the next morning feeling awkward. The strange moment from yesterday played again and again in his head. He wished he could forget it, but every time he looked at Sierra's tank, his face grew warm again. She didn't speak much that morning, but her soft glow kept changing colors, pale blue, then silver, then a faint green that he had never seen before. He wanted to apologize again, but he didn't know how. Karens didn't believe in accidents. To them, every act revealed a person's nature. What did his mistake say about him? He worried she thought he was careless. Later that day, Sierra finally broke the silence. "You are uneasy," she said while writing in her holographic log. Eli laughed nervously. "Well, yeah. Yesterday was embarrassing." She blinked, her silver eyes reflecting the dim lights. "For you, perhaps. For me, it was education." He frowned. "Education? You taught me something without words," she said. "Humans are unguarded. You move without shells, yet survive. You live every moment as if it will break you, but somehow it does not." It made me think. Her words surprised him. He had never thought of humans that way. To him, it was just life, messy, ordinary, sometimes clumsy. But to her, it seemed like a mystery. That night, when the lights dimmed and the hum of the station filled the quiet, Sierra began asking questions again. She wanted to know why humans smiled, why they laughed when nervous, and why they cried when sad. She didn't understand the concept of laughter. It's like a way to release something inside, Eli tried to explain. When you're scared or surprised or happy, you laugh. It's natural. In Karen culture, she replied, we release pressure through light. Our skin changes color to show emotion. If someone glows red, it means they are angry or frightened. Blue means calm. Green means curiosity. Then what was that faint green glow you had this morning? He asked, her head tilted slightly. I was curious about you, Eli smiled. Curious, huh? I can live with that. From that day onward, something between them began to soften. Their conversations grew longer. She began sharing small things about her homeworld, the vast oceans, the crystal towers that rose beneath the waves, the silent cities lit only by the glow of their people. She told him that Karens didn't have families the way humans did. Children were raised by the whole community, and personal attachment was discouraged. That's sad, Eli said one night. So no one says they love someone? Love, she repeated, testing the word as if it were a strange flavor. We do not use that word. It means to give one being power over your heart. On Kara, such power is forbidden. We are taught to remain balanced. Humans aren't balanced, Eli said. We care too much. Sometimes it hurts, but that's what makes us alive. Sierra looked at him silently for a long moment. Her skin shimmered again, soft blue fading into a pale green. Alive, she whispered. Yes, that is the right word. Weeks passed. They grew used to each other's presence. They shared meals, traded stories, and even watched old Earth films together. Sierra was fascinated by them. She laughed at the wrong times and gasped when nothing dramatic happened. Once she asked why humans always held hands in the end of those stories. It means connection, Eli explained. It's a promise that you're not alone. She thought about it for a while. On Kara, we connect through shared water. Two people place their hands in the same current. That is how we show unity. That's beautiful, he said. Something quiet and deep had started growing between them, even if neither could describe it. But peace on a space station never lasted long. One evening, as Eli was adjusting the hydrofiltration unit for Sierra's tank, the whole room shuddered. A deep vibration rolled through the station, followed by flashing red lights. The alarm voice echoed through the corridors. Emergency protocol. Unauthorized vessel approaching. All personnel to standby positions. Eli's heart jumped. He looked toward Sierra's tank. She was already standing, her body glowing bright silver. That signal, she murmured. It's Karen. What do you mean? Eli asked, her glow dimmed. It is not supposed to be here. No Karen ship was scheduled for arrival. Moments later, the comm screen lit up with a symbol, a silver spiral, the insignia of the Karen Council. A voice came through, cold and commanding. This is the Council vessel Talar. We are here for Observer Sierra of Kara. She has completed her assignment. She is ordered to return immediately. Eli froze. Assignment? Sierra didn't answer. She looked away, her hands trembling. The voice continued. Sierra respond. You have observed humanity for the required period. Your report is due. Return at once. Eli's chest tightened. What report? What are they talking about? Finally, Sierra turned toward him. Her eyes were full of conflict. I was not here only to learn, she said softly. I was sent to judge your kind. Judge us? For what? To decide if humans should remain in the Galactic Union, she admitted. Many Karens believe your species is dangerous, too emotional, too unpredictable. I was chosen to live among you, to see if that is true. Eli felt as if the floor had dropped from under him. So all this time, you were spying on us? She shook her head quickly. Not spying, observing. I thought it was only research, but now I see it was a test. They feared you would harm me. They believed you could not control your instincts. He stepped back, his voice low. And after what happened, you think they were right? Her skin flickered, confused colors swirling together. No, she said finally. They were wrong. You embarrassed yourself, yet you showed respect. You could have reacted with anger or pride, but you chose apology. That moment taught me more than any data. Outside, the alarm lights kept flashing. The Karen voice grew sharper. Observer Sierra, you will answer now. We are detecting your life signal inside human quarters. You have 20 seconds to comply. Eli felt panic rise. They can't just take you like that. She gave a sad smile. They can. And they will. Unless I refuse, he stared at her. Then refuse. Her glow dimmed. To refuse means exile. I would never return to Kara. Then stay, he said quietly. Stay here. With us. She looked at him, uncertain. Why would you ask that? Because you belong where you're understood, he said. And I think you're starting to understand us. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The hum of the ship beyond the walls grew louder. The Karen voice turned into an order. Final warning. Prepare for retrieval. Sierra closed her eyes. If I disobey, they will fire upon the station. Eli clenched his fists. Then let me talk to them. He stepped toward the console and opened the comm channel. This is Engineer Eli Mercer of the Human Research Division. The observer has done nothing wrong. She's safe here. This is not your concern, the alien voice replied coldly. Human interference is prohibited. Eli didn't back down. Maybe. But if you harm her, you'll prove everything humans have ever feared about the Union. There was silence. Then slowly the voice replied, You speak with boldness, human. Boldness is dangerous, Eli smiled faintly. Yeah, that's what they say about us. The connection cut off. The ship outside drifted closer, its massive shape blocking the stars. Sierra stared through the window, trembling. You shouldn't have done that, she whispered. Someone had to, he said. Her glow shifted to deep blue, the color of fear mixed with sorrow. Eli, I was sent to measure your threat. Now I think the real threat is my people's fear. The lights flickered again. The sound of engines thrummed through the floor. Sierra turned back to him, her expression filled with emotion she could barely control. Whatever happens next, she said quietly, remember this. You changed my understanding of what it means to be alive. He nodded slowly.
And you change mine. Outside, the Kirin vessel began to charge its docking beams.
Inside the small room, two beings from different worlds stood side by side, uncertain of what was coming, but knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. For the first time, Sira reached out. Her glowing hand touched the glass wall of her tank, and Eli placed his palm against it. Two different worlds met through that thin layer of glass, bound not by duty or fear, but by something deeper. Trust. And far away, the stars seemed to hold their breath, waiting for what would happen next. The station shook as the Kirin ship locked its beams onto the docking port. The lights dimmed and alarms echoed through the corridors. Eli could feel the vibration under his feet, deep and steady like a giant heartbeat. He stood close to Sira's tank, his mind racing. He didn't know what the Kirins would do, but he knew one thing. They weren't here to talk. Sira's glow had turned pale silver, a color Eli had learned to recognize as fear. "They are linking to the airlocks," she whispered. "They mean to retrieve me by force." Eli clenched his fists. "They can't just take you like some object. You're not their property." "In their eyes, I am," she said quietly.
"I am part of the Union's research division, bound by contract."
"They believe I belong to them until my report is complete." Eli took a deep breath. "Then we'll make your report complete right now." She looked confused. "How?" "Tell them what you saw. Tell them the truth, that we're not monsters." Sira stared at him for a long moment. The colors along her skin flickered between blue and green. "If I do that, I'll be labeled a traitor. My words will be dismissed as emotional interference." Eli gave a small smile. "Then maybe that's the point. Maybe they need to see that emotions don't make us weak. They make us alive." Before Sira could respond, the door's access light flashed red. The lock began to hum. They were breaking in. Eli moved to the console and disabled the security protocol so the Kirins couldn't control the door remotely. Sparks flew as he overloaded the panel. Sira's eyes widened. "Eli, they will take this as aggression." He turned toward her, voice calm but firm. "Then they'll finally understand what it means to protect someone you care about." She fell silent. No words came from her lips, but her light dimmed into a soft, deep blue, a silent kind of sadness mixed with awe. The station intercom buzzed with a human voice. "All civilian personnel, clear Section 4 immediately. The Kirin delegation has been authorized for boarding." Eli knew he was breaking rules, but he also knew something larger was at stake. If they took Sira by force, the fragile peace between species could collapse. Humanity would be blamed and all trust would vanish. He couldn't let that happen. Moments later, the airlock door hissed open. 3 Kirins stepped inside, taller and bulkier than Sira, wearing thick armored suits filled with swirling water. Their eyes glowed cold white. The leader, marked by a golden crest across his chest, spoke first. "Observer Sira, you have violated contact protocols. Step forward and surrender." Sira floated out of her tank, standing between Eli and the soldiers. Her voice trembled. "You do not need to take me by force. I will return, but not before I speak." The leader ignored her and raised his wrist device. "Human, step aside. You have interfered with official Kirin duty." Eli didn't move. "If duty means dragging your own kind away against her will, then maybe your rules are wrong." The Kirin's eyes flashed with anger. "You will regret this insolence." Sira turned to him quickly. "Please don't hurt him. He does not understand your laws." Eli looked at her. "No, I understand just fine. I just don't agree." There was a silence heavy enough to feel. The Kirin leader lowered his hand slowly. "You defend her as if she were one of your own." "She is," Eli said simply. The leader's voice softened just a little. "Why? She is not human. She was sent to judge you." Eli's answer was quiet but steady. "Because I don't care what she was sent to do. I care what she chose to be after she got here." Sira's eyes widened. Her skin shimmered faint green again, the color of deep emotion. To a Kirin, it was almost like a tear. The leader seemed uncertain now. "Our orders are clear. She must return for debriefing." Eli shook his head. "Then listen to her report first. If she wants to go, she can. But if she wants to stay, that's her choice." Sira took a small step forward, her voice trembling but firm. "Commander Tal, I have seen enough. I will deliver my findings now." The soldiers glanced at each other. The commander nodded slowly. "Speak." Sira turned to face them. "The humans are dangerous, yes, but not because of violence. They are dangerous because they feel deeply, Because they care even for those who do not belong to them. They build connections where none should exist. I lived among them. I saw their mistakes, their clumsiness, their uncontrolled emotions, but I also saw courage, empathy, and trust. They are not a threat to destroy. They are a threat to indifference. They remind us what it means to feel. The room fell completely silent. Even the hum of the station seemed to fade. The commander's expression was unreadable. Finally, he said, "You speak with conviction, observer. But your words are not logic. They are sentiment." "Then perhaps sentiment is what logic has been missing," she replied softly. The commander looked at her for a long moment, then turned his gaze toward Eli. "You are the human who stood before our weapons with no armor?" Eli nodded. The commander's eyes dimmed slightly. "Few would do that for another species." Eli smiled faintly. "Maybe that's why you needed to meet us." The Karen didn't answer right away. He tapped his wrist device and a faint blue light scanned the room. "If we allow you to remain, you will no longer act as a formal observer. You will be considered rogue." Sierra lifted her chin. "Then I accept exile." Eli's breath caught. "Sierra," she turned to him, her expression calm but resolute. "I have made my choice. I would rather live as myself than serve as a silent judge." The commander hesitated, then slowly lowered his arm. "Very well. The council will not approve, but I will not take you by force. You have one solar rotation to leave this sector before our ships return." Without another word, the soldiers turned and left. The airlock sealed behind them with a heavy thud. The tension in the air eased, replaced by the quiet hum of the station. Eli let out a long breath. You just gave up everything." Sierra looked at him. "No, I found something instead." He frowned. "What's that?" "Freedom," she said simply. He smiled, though worry lingered in his eyes. "They'll come back. I know," she replied. "But for now I am still here." For the rest of the night neither of them slept. They sat near the window watching the stars drift past. The silence between them was peaceful now, not awkward. Eli thought about what she had said, how her people saw emotion as weakness, yet she had risked everything to show the opposite. Humanity, in its messy and imperfect way, had changed her. At one point, Sierra whispered, "When I first arrived, I thought humans were unstable. Now I think you are the balance we all forgot." Eli smiled. "And I used to think aliens were cold. Now I think you just needed someone to talk to." She laughed softly, a gentle sound like moving water. "Perhaps both our worlds were wrong." Hours later, the station lights brightened, signaling a new cycle. Sierra prepared to send her final message to the Kiran Council before going into hiding. She asked Eli to help her encrypt it. When the message was ready, she turned to him. "Would you like to hear it before I send it?" He nodded. Her voice was calm as she spoke into the recorder. "To the Kiran High Council, I have completed my observation of humanity. I cannot recommend containment. Humans are not a danger to the Union. They are its missing heart. They do not seek destruction, only understanding. If we fear them, it is because we fear seeing ourselves reflected in their chaos. Let this record stand as my final truth. I will not return. Observer Sierra, formerly of Kara." Eli felt a lump rise in his throat. That was beautiful. Sierra pressed the send command. The message vanished into the network, bouncing toward 1,000 distant relays. "Now," she said softly, "there is no going back." "Then we go forward," Eli said. She turned to look at him. "Where will forward lead us?" He smiled. "Anywhere we want." Outside, the stars gleamed brighter as the Karen ship moved away, leaving a trail of light. For the first time, the space around them felt wide open, dangerous but full of possibility. Sierra leaned closer to the window, watching the fading light of her people's ship. A single tear-like droplet of glowing water escaped her eye and drifted into her tank. It sparkled softly like a star being born. Eli watched her quietly. He didn't need to say anything. Both of them knew that whatever came next would change not only their lives but maybe the entire relationship between two worlds. In that moment, neither human nor alien felt alone. They were simply alive, sharing the same small room in the endless sea of stars, bound by something far greater than duty or origin, and somewhere far away, the message Sierra had sent was already spreading, changing minds, challenging fears, and beginning a story the galaxy would never forget. The next morning, the station floated in calm silence. The great Karen ship was gone, but its presence still lingered in everyone's minds. Reports spread quickly through the Orbital Academy. How a human engineer had stood against alien soldiers. How a Karen observer had refused her orders. Nobody knew the full story, but rumors carried faster than light. Eli woke early. The first thing he noticed was that Sira was already awake, sitting inside her water tank watching the sunrise through the viewport. The soft golden light reflected on her skin, turning her glow warm and gentle. She looked peaceful, but there was a quiet sadness behind her eyes. He stepped closer. Couldn't sleep? She shook her head. Karens do not dream, but if we did, I think last night would have followed me. He smiled faintly. You made history. Maybe that's worth losing a little sleep over. Her silver eyes met his. I also made enemies. Maybe, he said. But you also made friends who won't let you fight alone. That made her smile. Small, but real. Humans always speak like that, as if friendship is armor. Sometimes it is, he replied. Sometimes it's stronger than any shield. She didn't argue. Instead, she reached toward the glass of her tank, her hand glowing faint blue. He pressed his palm against the same spot from the outside, the way they had done before. Neither spoke, but the gesture said everything. They were on the same side now. A few hours later, the command center sent Eli a summons. The human station director wanted to speak with him and Sira. As they walked through the shining corridors, humans stared, whispered, and stepped aside. Some looked afraid, others amazed. The story had clearly spread. Inside the command hall, Director Hayes was waiting, an older man with sharp eyes and a steady voice. Beside him stood two officers from the Galactic Union, wearing neutral gray uniforms. Hayes nodded at them. Mr. Mercer, Observer Sira, or perhaps I should say, former observer. We've been reviewing last night's event. Eli glanced at Sira, unsure if they were in trouble. The director continued. The Kirin vessel's sudden approach caused alarm among the Union Council. Your defiance prevented possible violence, but it also caused diplomatic waves. They've been debating all night about what to do. Sira spoke calmly. I will accept whatever judgment they decide. My actions were deliberate. One of the Union officers, a calm woman with silver hair, stepped forward. The Council has received your message, Observer. It has already been transmitted across 3 systems. Many Kirins are calling you a traitor, but others are calling you brave. Sira tilted her head slightly. That is unusual, the officer nodded. It seems your words have sparked something unexpected. Some Kirin scientists now argue that emotional understanding should be added to their diplomatic protocol. They want to study human empathy as a stabilizing model. Eli smiled faintly. So she changed more than she thought. The officer's lips curved slightly. Perhaps, but until the Kirin government decides, you will both need protection. The Union is assigning a patrol ship to guard this station. Hayes stepped closer to Eli. You stood up to a galactic military detachment with no weapon, no authority, and no backup. Do you realize what kind of message that sent? Eli scratched his neck awkwardly. I wasn't trying to send a message, sir. I just didn't want them to take her. The director studied him for a moment. Then unexpectedly he smiled. That's exactly the kind of message humanity should be sending. After the meeting, Eli and Sira walked together through the observation deck. The view of Earth below was breathtaking, a swirl of white clouds and deep blue oceans. Sira floated quietly beside him, her reflection shining against the glass. This planet, she said softly, is louder than any I have known. It burns with light and movement. I used to think it was chaotic. Now I think it is alive, Eli chuckled. That's pretty much how we see it too. A big loud home that somehow keeps spinning. She turned to him. When I first arrived, I thought you were all dangerous. I was afraid even to speak freely. But when I saw you that morning, unguarded, vulnerable, still trying to fix a broken system, I saw something else. You were not dangerous. You were honest. Eli looked down, embarrassed. You saw me at my worst. No, she said gently. I saw you at your most human. There was quiet between them for a while. The hum of the station was soft, almost like a heartbeat. Finally, Eli asked, what happens now? You said you'd be exiled. I am, she said. If I return to Kara, I will be imprisoned or silenced. But if I stay here, I can still work. Perhaps the Union will let me serve as a bridge between our species. Someone has to speak when others refuse to listen. He nodded. Then we'll make this place your new home. She tilted her head. And you will help me? He grinned. You don't even have to ask. In the following days, things began to change across the station. Human and Karen scientists started meeting more often. Messages from distant colonies came in, some angry, some hopeful. The incident had become known as the stand at Station 7C. People began saying it was the moment the galaxy started to see humanity differently, not as reckless explorers, but as beings who valued connection over control. But not everyone was happy. A few alien officials demanded that Sira be removed from the research network. Some even threatened to cut off Karen participation in the Union if humans refused to hand her over. Tension grew again. One evening, while Eli was repairing a coolant pipe, Sira appeared beside him. Her glow was dimmer than usual. "They sent another message," she said quietly. "Some of my people want to recall all Karen envoys until the council decides my fate." He looked up. "Then we send them a message back," she blinked. "What kind of message?" Eli smiled. "The same kind humanity's been sending since the beginning. We keep trying. We keep showing them who we are." Later that night, Sira helped him broadcast a small public statement across the Union channels. A simple video showing humans and aliens working together on the station, laughing, talking, repairing systems side by side. No speeches, no politics, and just life. The clip spread faster than they expected. Millions watched. For the first time, Karens and humans commented under the same thread, not arguing but sharing curiosity and small gestures of goodwill. Weeks passed. The tension slowly eased. Then one day a message arrived, and short and unexpected. It came directly from the Karen Council. "To Observer Sira, formerly of Kara, your record has been reviewed. The Council does not approve of your disobedience, but it cannot deny the truth of your findings. Humanity will remain within the Union. Further study of emotional empathy will be considered. You are hereby stripped of title but granted freedom of travel." Eli read the message twice before looking up. "So, they let you go." Sira stared at the screen, her glow bright and calm. "They did not forgive me," she said softly, "but they listened." "That is enough," he smiled. "Sometimes that's the biggest victory." That night the two stood once more before the viewport, watching the Earth rotate slowly below. The stars shimmered like scattered diamonds, endless and bright. Sira's voice broke the silence. "When I first arrived, I thought your kind survived by luck. Now I think you survived by hope." Eli nodded. "Hope and stubbornness. It's a dangerous mix," she laughed softly. "Then maybe the galaxy needs a little more of it." Eli turned toward her. "So what will you do now?" "I will stay," she said after a moment. "There is much to learn, much to teach. Perhaps together we can show others that emotion is not chaos. It is connection." He grinned. "I like the sound of that." As they watched the sunrise spread across Earth's horizon, Eli realized something profound. Humanity's strength wasn't in technology or weapons or cleverness. It was in their hearts, in their willingness to care, to protect, to reach out even when they didn't have to. That was what made them dangerous to fear and powerful to trust. The light grew brighter, filling the room with soft gold. Sira's reflection shimmered in the glass beside his own. Two different beings, two different worlds, but one shared purpose. "Everything changed the day you saw me without armor," Eli said quietly. She smiled. "Everything changed the moment you didn't hide from it." And there, among the stars, two souls, one human, one alien, stood side by side as the galaxy slowly began to understand what humanity truly meant. It wasn't about power. It wasn't about conquest. It was about the courage to be open, to feel, to care. And that more than any weapon or alliance was what would one day unite the stars.